Hello everyone, Jose Ojo Fish Keeping. This video I hope to just to recap and go summarize some of the things that I discussed in the previous videos. After this one, there will be one more coming. The way I'm choosing to set up the UV for my 120-gallon discus tank. UV has been in use for a long time. There's plenty of science to back it up, and if you feel inclined to do that, you can look up. There's many articles, many research projects have been done. It has been used extensively in medicine, in the commercial food industry. What UV sterilization does is actually is to sterilize, meaning render the pathogens, bacteria or algae. It changes the DNA so it cannot reproduce anymore, thereby decreasing the total volume that you will find in the water column. What you choose to do with the UV, depending on what your goals are, you can choose it to reduce algae, it could be to reduce pathogens, whether it's parasites or it's bacteria, but depending on whatever the choice is or when you choose to utilize UV is entirely up to you. There is a certain cost involved with it. This is why it's taken me about 5 years to finally take the plunge and get it done by encouragement of some friends. Discus North, Sean, he's been using it extensively. I wanted to use it, but it's always the cost of it. There's something else to be taken care of, so I'd rather the money going for that than deciding to do this now. Depending on what you use, whether you do reef, whether you do aquarium fish, in my case, I am spending the bigger money with the discus tank because you spend a lot. Discus are expensive, and I have a large number of them, plus other occupants that are in this tank. So if you have any illness, you can potentially have a major loss, as has already occurred to me. So again, what UV sterilization does is not necessarily to kill bacteria, but to reduce the numbers. So if you can reduce the total numbers, eventually you're going to decrease the load in the water column, so that whatever numbers are there, it's going to find a harder time reaching your animals, as you may be in an open system like the oceans or rivers or wherever your animals would happen to live in. Does it affect the health of the fish directly? Probably not, or it may depend how you look at it. Does it affect it directly? No, but probably indirectly. If you already have a fish that is very sick and you don't catch it early enough, the immune system may already be too far compromised that the fish probably will not survive. It is not to replace treatments or medications, whether it's antibacterials or antiparasitic agents. You're still going to need to use something to treat whatever illness the fish may be dealing with. If you recognize what it is, you treat it accordingly. Now, how would the UV improve the fish's health? By increasing the total numbers, there'll be less bacteria or other pathogens that will reach the fish that can further make it sicker. So this affect it directly. Again, it's not going to cure a fish that is already ill. Now, sterilization again is to prevent reproduction. It is not something that is going to make everything sterile, meaning sterile in the sense of no life. Like when you put something in an oven or you sterilize something as you would hospital equipment, it will not kill everything. It's not making your system sterile, just reducing the pathogens that are in the water column. Now, you may at times have what we may call a bacterial bloom. There may be other bacteria. Not every bacteria that is in your system is necessarily pathogenic, but it will definitely, if you have a cloudy tank, not green tank, it certainly will help clear that also. So a lot of the times I see if you have experienced bacterial blooms, you can do water changes and it's not necessarily going to affect it. If you look at one of the prior videos, I do show you 2 tanks where I use a smaller UV unit where the target was for algae. And within 2 or 3 days, it was totally clear. I could barely see the fish. I thought I recorded that part of it when it was very green. I had the discus pair breeding there and you could barely see the fish, but by the 3rd day it was clear. Next to it was another tank that was going through a little bit of a bacterial bloom. I put it there for 2 days, then totally clear. Now, my goals, you have to choose what your goal is going to be. If it's going to be for algae, you have to choose accordingly. Your flow rates matter. So for bacteria, they reproduce very quickly, so you're going to need a faster flow rate. Parasites, since they reproduce slower, you're going to need a lower flow rates. And algae, you need different flow rates also. So depending what your goal is going to be, you have to choose, follow the manufacturer's instructions, and set flow rates accordingly. I plan to use a flow meter, an inexpensive one that I purchased. That's a garden hose digital meter, and I plan to use that. But prior to that, I'm also going to measure the output. I am going to use a canister filter by Eheim that I was using 38 years ago and still works well. I'm going to use that, and I'm going to time. I'm going to see how much it puts out a gallon per the 1 minute. I'll see what amount of water, how long it takes to fill a gallon of water. I'm going to multiply how long it takes that gallon of water to fill, and then multiply that so that I can get my hourly rate. In my case, for the UV sterilizer that I'm using from Aqua, I need for bacteria between 500 to 1200 gallons per hour to achieve the bacteria goal that I'm planning to. Now, my goal, as I said, is for bacterial control. I have been using green killing machine units on the 60 gallon, on the 90, and on the 65 gallon for for the same reason. They are 24 watts units. This one that I'm using by Aqua for the discus tank is 25 watt unit. So make sure that whatever you're buying, there are a lot of cheap, meaning inexpensive units out there that probably will not treat the volume of water and have the flow rate that you need. So just use one accordingly. Yes, you will spend maybe $30, $40, $50, $60 for one, but you may be throwing your money away and it's not going to do what your goal should be. So just follow, again, manufacturer's instruction for the proper volume that you plan to be treating. Always make sure that with any kind of UV sterilizers, you use caution with the bulbs. Do not turn the bulbs on while it's outside of its protective casing. It can cause eye tissue damage, so just be very careful. And generally also bulbs need, so they can remain effective, they need to be replaced from every 8 months to about a year. So keep that in mind also. My goal for UV sterilization is to reduce sick periods for fish. Occasionally I may get one of the small breeds that may get sick. I take them out, treat them. Sometimes they survive. Most often they get better. I can put them back in the general population. The same thing with the discus. So you do, as a fish keeper, you know your normal fish behavior. If they seem that something is going on, I usually take them out, treat them, they improve, and I put them back. So I hope to reduce those periods by decreasing the load of any pathogens that may be floating around the water. You can treat them with antibiotics at times, but some can remain within your substrate, within plants, so you may not totally eradicate them, but the goal is to reduce the number so they have a harder time finding your animals. UV sterilization can also be great in conjunction during the quarantine period if you choose to do quarantine. Again, it's your hobby, you do it however it makes you happy, whatever works for you. You can use UV during your quarantine period, again, to reduce the number of bacteria that may be in the water column. I choose to quarantine, I choose to treat during the periods. Again, I do not want to have episodes where I'm going to have major losses in fish and also loss in money. So you can use it in conjunction with, but not to replace a good quarantine method if you choose to do that. Be right for you, not right for everybody. If you have small tanks and you have guppies, or you have inexpensive fishes that will reproduce for you as many as you would want to keep, it may not be worth it for you. In cases if you have an expensive reef or marine fish, or discus in my case, or you have overstocked tanks like I do. Again, with overstocked tank, you can potentially increase illness because you have an overcrowding condition that can potentially do that. With my routine methods of keeping and maintaining the aquarium, I can say that other than like with most fishes, some fish will die sometimes, and it's part of, they reach the end of their life period. Some of them can last a year or two, some can last many years. So it all depends. Again, if it's right for you, it depends what you plan for it. You can use small units to treat algae periodically and use an as needed basis, or you can time yours to run whatever amount of hours you think it will be appropriate for your system. Right now, I am planning to use it continuously for a few days, but then I'll probably cut it back to about 12 hours. Again, I just have to test it out and see how it works out for me. Again, whether it's right for you, it's your choice. You know, you will do whatever you think is appropriate for you. If you want to go through the expense, if you think it's something that you will benefit from it, definitely there's enough science to back it up, and it has been used based on research, based on anecdotal findings from fish keepers. So whatever you find that works for you, you know, you can try it. I'm certainly thought about it enough, learned enough about it to feel comfortable at this point that it was you know, the right time for me to do. When it's the right time for you, when you decide it is. Thank you for watching again, and the next video that I'm planning to make will be the actual setup. There were some pieces that I needed. I do have them now, so I will find a little bit of time just to get it done. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next video. If you have not done so, please subscribe, share, like, and press the notification bell. Thank you for your support and visiting our channel.